Let's talk about closing your open documents. So there's a couple things to pay attention to now. And one thing I'd like to mention right up front is if you close a workbook and you've made some edits, you will be given the opportunity to save or not save at the time you select to close. I'll demonstrate that in a few moments. And I want to actually open up a couple workbooks to practice closing with. So I'm going to click on the Open button on my Quick Access toolbar. And I'm going to open up my ABC Corporation workbook. And I'm going to open up another workbook, let's say my test file. Okay. So here I've got a couple workbooks open. And I'm also going to create a brand new workbook, just to have something else going in the works, okay? So we've covered these topics in previous recordings. If I go to the View tab, I can see through Switch Windows that I've got more than one workbook open. Okay. And I'm going to put this one back on top. Not for any particular reason, but just to practice working with that Switch Windows. If I want to switch windows again, I'll go to the View tab, Switch Windows, and I can make any of these other files on top. I'm going to right-click on the Switch Windows and add it to the Quick Access toolbar. So when I'm on the Home tab, I have a very convenient way of switching between open documents. Again, it's on the Quick Access toolbar, and I can now go to this document or to the ABC Corporation document, what have you. So either use the View tab, Switch Windows, or add it to your Quick Access toolbar. Now when it's time to close this document, I'm going to show you two different techniques. One technique has you close with this Close button up above, and this will close the document and the instance of, or the version of Excel that's running this particular document. I can also close this document by going to the File tab, Close, and do it this way. Either way works. However, this technique is a little bit different than the other technique. I'll demonstrate that coming up. So let's use this simple Close button here. If I close this button, actually before I do, notice there are 4 documents. If I close this and I go back to the Switch Windows, I see there are now 3 documents. Notice also when I closed that document, there were no questions asked. I'm going to go to the test file. I'm going to add some numbers here, 98 and 54. Now when I go to close this document, instead of it just closing directly, I'm going to have the opportunity of saving or not saving all the subsequent edits since the last time I saved this document. So if I'd like to keep these numbers safe, I will click Save. If I made a mistake and want to close without saving, I would click the Don't Save. I will save these extra numbers for this particular example. Okay, so it closed that document and saved along the way. Now I have just a book that I've never saved, no edits in it, and I've got my original. Okay, so I'm going to go to that workbook and I'm going to close it. What's your guess? Is it going to save it or ask you a question or not? I have not made any edits. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to go through the File tab and close. Any questions asked? Nope. Because I hadn't made any edits, it just closed it directly. So if I go back to the Switch Windows, I see I'm left with my original. Now here's where there's a little difference between this X closing this instance of Excel and the workbook, or the File tab and using the Close here. Okay? If I click the X here and it's my last instance of Excel, Excel will close and I'll go all the way back to my Windows desktop. If I use the File tab and click Close here, I actually close the last workbook, but I stay in Excel with no workbooks open. This is a very different look than when I have a workbook open. The ribbon, for the most part, is dim. Many of the buttons on the Quick Access toolbar will be dim. So if I want to start a brand new workbook, I could do that. You can see, use the Switch Windows. This is the last workbook open. If I click this X, I will close Excel. If I go to the File tab and close, I leave Excel running, but with no workbooks open. Let me go through that again. I'm going to start a brand new workbook, but instead of going through the File tab and leaving Excel running with no workbooks, if I click this X here, I will close the workbook and Excel. Okay, and that rounds out our conversation on closing workbooks.